Welcome in, faithful. I'm Drew Kerr, and this is 49er Sports Talk. Okay, I hope y'all are having a wonderful day out there, wherever you might be. Today I'll be talking about the futures of both D. Winters and Jalen Graham, last year's rookie linebackers. Both of these guys were four-year starters in college. Here's a look at D. Winters' stats at TCU. As you can see here, in his freshman year, he did play in 8 games. He had 28 total tackles, 4.5 for loss, 2 sacks. He did have a pass deflection, and then he continued to get better. In his sophomore year, he progressed a little bit. He had 65 total tackles, so he was getting a lot more playing time, 9.5 for loss, 2 sacks. He did have 2 pass deflections, and he actually looks like he had a touchdown off a fumble recovery. And then in 2021, his junior year, he continued to get better. He had 74 total tackles, 5 for he started dropping back a little bit more in his junior year. So he had 5 for loss. He did only have 1 sack, but he did have 2 picks. And he did have 2 pass deflections. So he started, he dropped back a little bit more his junior year. And then his 2022 year, senior year, he played in 15 games. He was an All-American that year. He had 79 tackles. He had 14.5 for loss. He had 7.5 sacks. So he was coming in like a hot missile at the quarterback. Got a few of those. Had a pick for 29 yards. And he did have a touchdown there. He had 2 pass deflections and 1 fumble recovery. He was an absolute menace his senior year. He was all over the field. He was flying around. I think that's what the Niners really, really loved about him there. He has played in 15 games total in his NFL career last year. So he played in almost every single game. He recorded 10 tackles, and he did have a pass deflection there too. So I think, year 2, Dre Greenlaw's out. He's going to get a little bit more of a look there. And then so we'll jump right into Jalen Graham's stats at Purdue. His freshman year, it was pretty productive also at Purdue. He had 37 tackles there, and then he had 1 pass deflection. His sophomore year was a little bit down. I believe he had a slight setback. He had a little injury. And so he only played in 5 games there. Much like Fred Warner, though, his freshman and sophomore year, he was playing safety. He had 16 total tackles there. He had a couple fumble recoveries. He did have 1 for a touchdown. He forced a fumble his sophomore year, and then, he had that setback. 2021, as a junior, he bounced back. He had 64 tackles. Four of those were for loss. He had 1 sack. He had 2 picks for 45 yards with a touchdown. And then he had 7 pass deflections. So his safety skill set was coming into play quite a bit there. He had another forced fumble in 2021. In 2022, he only played in 9 games. He recorded 52 tackles, 5 for loss, 1 sack, 1 pick for 29 yards, and 5 pass deflections. He had another forced fumble there. So he's a guy who can turn the ball over, can get turnovers. I think if he has a strong camp this year, I think if both of them have strong camps this year, we could expect quite a bit more from these 2 guys, with Burks potentially moving on or moving back. He kind of struggled in the Super Bowl. So if both these rookies can step up, much like Dre Greenlaw did and Fred Warner early in their careers, if these guys can hit the ground running in year 2, we should see a significant amount of playing time for both of these guys. Dre Greenlaw's injury is obviously very significant for that position. Much like a running back, you have to be able to plant aggressively, turn quickly. The rehab process for this Achilles isn't going to be like Aaron Rodgers. It's not going to be simple. It's going to be rigorous. It's going to take time he may not get back until, quite frankly, he might not even be back until the playoffs. If he comes back, who knows what percentage of Dre Greenlaw we'll be getting. I don't think we're going to be getting the 2023 version, even if he fully rehabs and steps back onto the field and is a contributing factor late in the season. And Achilles just, that's a really tough injury for a linebacker. So I think it's very important that D Winters and Jalen Graham get some good reps in this for the OTAs and training camp and stuff like that, and then hit the ground running preseason and into the season. Hopefully they will be both playing, at the third linebacker spot. I think D Winters is looked at as a little bit more of a starter next to Fred Warner. So we'll see how it shakes out. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it unfolds. But I guarantee you this is going to be a fun thing to watch in the preseason for these guys. And the Niners have had great linebackers going all the way back to the dynasty years, whether it was Ken Norton Jr., Gary Plummer, Lee Woodall, or whether it was Willis and Bowman in the 2000s, and the current duo of Dre Greenlaw, obviously, and Fred Warner. The Niners have continued to set the standard at this position. They have been a linebacker university for a while now, for a number of years, and I think that D Winters and Jalen Graham could very well fit into this equation. I think that when the Niners drafted them, I think maybe that was the vision. We look at the future retirement ages of former Niners linebackers, and the average age of retirement for a lot of these guys is about 32 years old. So when the season starts, Fred Warner is going to be 28 years old. Dre Greenlaw, a year behind him, he'll be 27. So the guys are looking at like 4 or 5 years left before they either move or retire. We'll see how that shakes out. We're going to find out quickly here. I think Lynch is going to restructure Fred Warner, so they might extend him out until the point where they think that he'll be around that retirement age. But if these guys, D Winters and Jalen Graham, get playing time and they're showing, signs of arrow up, and they're contributing factors and they're making a difference on the field, it might be one of those deals where Dre Greenlaw is no longer with the Niners, which would suck. I love Dre Greenlaw. He's one of my favorite players on the team. The Achilles injury is gonna be more of a setback probably than Navarro Bowman's MCL ACL sprain in 2014, and then he came back in 2015. He led the league in tackles. He was fourth place in terms of comeback player of the year. So he was an all-pro. He also made the Pro Bowl. So he actually bounced back from that. But I just think the Achilles is probably worse than the ACL and MCL tears. It's really hard to recover from that one. Well, that's it for today, guys. It's going to be a quick one today. Please leave a comment below with your own takes in regard to what the Niners need to do at the linebacker position in 2024. Is there any free agents that you see as viable options? I know Azeez Al-Shaair's name has been thrown out. Maybe there's a linebacker in the draft that you love. But go ahead and leave those down in the comment. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you.